made on Ridgeway Sports Podcast, episode 17. Hunter Keister back with
Cody Mack.
Let's go. Episode number 17, made on Ridgeway Sports Podcast. Welcome to another episode. In this one, we're going to start on the hardwood, recapping the games versus Boston and Miami and who came out of that, and who would end up going to play the Warriors in the finals. We will then talk about the game that happened tonight, the finals game 1, and we will also end with some NHL playoff talk, and I will continue to add some of that to this podcast. Let's start Miami-Boston game 6.
Yep.
Kurt, we predicted a...
We thought the Celtics would win in 6.
Yeah, we thought Boston would win, and what happened?
Well, Jimmy Butler went off.
Yeah.
Almost had a triple-double. He had 47 points.
Went crazy.
Big game for him, because those two previous games, he actually was really didn't do much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we jinxed them.
Right.
But, so he ended up beating Boston at Boston Friday night. They ended up playing Sunday. Celtics finished them off. Really close game.
Man.
The Heat came back. They were getting cracked for a little bit. Another big game from Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo had a good game as well with 25. Jimmy Butler had 35. He actually took the go-ahead 3 to try to win the game with about 20 seconds left,
right.
But he missed the shot. So Boston held on to win that one. Tatum had a big game, as well as Jaylen Brown had a big game as well. And Boston just a really good defensive team. They just matched up really good defensively with everyone. That's what I realized, especially after that Nets series when they swept them. Boston's a really good all-around team, so they came out of that series 7 games, and they took down the number 1 seed in the Heat. So they beat the Nets, man.
The Bucks and the
former
Heat.
NBA champs.
Wow.
The Heat, and now they're playing the Warriors.
Talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't play Brooklyn completely healthy, but I mean, talk about a run. You got to go through Brooklyn,
KD and Kyrie.
Yeah, Giannis, Chris
and
Middleton,
the NBA champs. Chris Middleton's injured, unfortunately. Though he was hurt before that series.
Okay.
But still.
Then you got Miami, the 1 seed,
yep.
And you go 7 games with them, and then
now you're playing Golden State.
You're playing Golden State in game 1 of the finals. I don't really have too much to say. Kurt really covered the Miami game really well. I didn't really watch too much of that game, honestly, but I know that Jimmy Butler played well. But I think that games 3, 4, and 5 where Jimmy Butler came up short, I think that they could have really used him, and I think it cost them because they allowed Boston to get healthy, and they made him pay in 7 games. But that really set up a interesting finals this year. Boston and the Warriors. And game 1 was tonight. We just finished watching that before this podcast. I will segue into that as Boston takes game 1, a final score of 120 to 108. Really high scoring. We were all hanging out, so I didn't really watch too much of this game, but I do know that Boston in the 4th quarter went crazy. They ended on something like a 14-0 run.
At one point,
At one point late in the 4th.
They outscored them in the 4th quarter.
40 to 16.
Yeah, 40 to 16.
Wow.
So basically, Boston was losing almost the entire game. They were hanging in there, and then Golden State would just push it to double digits. Curry was playing really good. He was making everything, honestly. Golden State was really playing really well the first 3 quarters. And then, like, the last 8 minutes of that 4th quarter, they just couldn't have hit any shots.
Yeah, they were missing everything.
I mean, Steph, I don't remember really him making any shots in the 4th quarter. Now that I think about it, honestly, nobody really was. But, For Boston, I mean, for tonight, Jason Tatum really played poorly, shooting wise.
Yeah.
Horrible. What was he, 4 for 15?
Yep.
I want to say 4 for 15?
He shot 17% from the field. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
20% from 3. 3 of 17. 3 of 17. 1 of 5 from 3.
Yeah. And for them to still pull out a win, that's huge for them.
Everybody shot bad. Jaylen Brown was 10 of 23. Derek White, 6 of 11.
I mean, Derek White and Al Horford were good on 3-pointers, though.
Al Horford had the best game. 9 of
really
12. 6 of 8 from 3, 75%. Yeah. That's really good on Al Horford. And he's definitely the reason they won.
Tonight, 100%. For sure.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, this really total collapse by Golden State. There's no other way to put it because they should have won this game.
Yeah,
they
there's no reason
total control.
Yep.
I mean, Curry was playing great. They were all making some really good shots. I mean, they couldn't miss any threes there for a minute. And in the fourth quarter, they went completely cold. And Boston just started heating up, and that momentum switched.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, even regarding tonight's game, I was picking Boston to win this series in 7 games, personally. A lot of people think Golden State was pretty favored to win like 6. I personally didn't see that because I think Boston matches up really good with them. They have a really solid defensive team, really good length that can match up well with them. And so, who knows? Will the fourth quarter be a thing to see for the next few games? Like, is Golden State going to rebound? I'm going to say probably not. Or is Golden State just going to wipe the floor with them the next game and not collapse? Who knows? Game 2 is Sunday night, so we won't be able to touch on that until next week. But I would say Boston's going to win this in 7. And if I'm going to pick a Finals MVP, I'm not going to say the typical Jason Tatum. I'm going to say, honestly, someone different. I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown on this one. I'm going to say he wins Finals MVP for Boston.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Yeah. Boston wins 121-08, obviously headlined by Al Horford. They win a game in which they had their star players shoot pretty poorly. Jaylen Brown still comes up with 24, making 2 of 8 from 3, 2 of 2 from the foul line. That's crazy. They all just couldn't buy a shot to the fourth, and then they finally just pulled it together and just pulled away from Golden State late, which was nuts. Before the game, I said Boston in 6 games, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I think I'm going to stick with Boston in 6, especially since they got one in Golden State.
That's
huge. I don't think it's too crazy to say Boston can win both at home, and that already would put them up 3-1, even if Golden State wins game 2. So I mean, let's say Golden State comes back, forces a game 5, wins that, and then Boston wins at home game 6. It'd be that.
Just them winning this first game really
that
sets
was
them
huge,
up nicely.
especially with how bad they shot. Because if you can still win and have your players play this bad,
Curry scored 30 plus, and Jason Tatum only scored 12, and they still found a way to win.
Look at the shooting from Golden State: 2 of 12 from Draymond Green, 6 of 14 from Klay Thompson. I mean, 12 of 25 still isn't 48. That's under 48%. 7 for 14 from 3. Jordan Poole 1 of 5 from 3. 2 over 7. He did not shoot well at all.
He didn't really have a big game tonight.
Wiggins was good at 8 of 15. But Curry, 12 of 25. Got to the foul line a little bit. And they all kind of fell apart in the fourth quarter. And we'll see what they can do to rebound for game number 2. So I picked Boston in 6 games, which means my Finals MVP comes down to, I think, stopping Steph Curry and the lethal three-pointing of the Golden State Warriors. So I will give it to Boston's best defender in my eyes and the Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart.
Marcus
add
Smart.
to his accolades, and
he slept on for sure.
I'll give him the MVP because I believe that if Boston wins, it's because of him and them and the whole team stopping the Warriors' 3-point attack. So I like Marcus Smart and I like Boston in 6 games, but let's see how the Warriors are going to respond with already having a loss on home floor and knowing they can't afford.
This was actually their first loss at home in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they've
been undefeated at home.
That's insane to think about. That's dominant right there.
Yeah, it's because in that third quarter, they usually just blow everyone out, and they scored 38 in the third, and Boston was pretty cold in the third quarter, but then everything literally completely switched in the fourth. Like, everything just flipped. Like, we were watching, and they were still down by 10. I was like, man, they're hanging around, but I didn't think it was going to turn to that. And then we looked 20 seconds later, and then, holy smokes, we got a game. And then all of a sudden, Boston is up 4, then 8, then 12. We're like, they really just won that game.
Yeah. Like, I felt like I looked down, and they were, like, coming up to, like, tie it. And then I look up, and Boston's up 11. I'm like, what happened? But kudos to them to fight off a really bad shooting night and still to claw out a big win in the finals. That's huge for Game 1, especially being on the road, to set the tone for Boston as they hope to be crowned NBA champions, and they will break the tie between them and the Lakers
For most
for
finals?
NBA championships.
Wow.
I think they're both at 17, and if Boston wins this, they'll be ahead.
Yeah, they haven't won a title in a real long time. Not since they beat Kobe in like 2008 or something.
Right.
Real long time.
Crazy to think about.
Well, that's because LeBron was in the East running everything for
Yeah,
the longest time.
LeBron just,
that's
LeBron just had the
that's
East
why,
on
because
lockdown.
LeBron was just running the East.
Right.
Nobody could get out of the conference finals.
Yeah. It's like, your great season ends at the conference finals because you're not getting past me.
Nope.
That's what LeBron would just say to people. But, Kurt, did you want to add anything more on that?
I think we covered it fairly well, honestly.
Okay, I will now jump into a little segment of NHL playoffs. We did it up to the Edmonton, Calgary, St. Louis, Colorado, and I believe we touched on the Rangers and the Lightning a little bit. So that set up the number 1 seeded Avalanche to take on the number 2 seeded Edmonton Oilers, and Colorado so far has absolutely mopped the floor. I mean, we knew they'd be good. Game 1, like, look at that, Kurt. You don't ever see that in hockey. 8-6, especially that high in the playoffs. That's a lot of goals.
Typically, it's like 3-4.
Yeah, exactly. And then Colorado comes up. They had the goal scoring in Game 1. Well, they got their goalie into the game for Game 2, and they win 4-0. So that's what we'll talk about tonight, as that game was played tonight. All of the Oilers stars were pretty much held in check, with McDavid only having 2 shots on goal, Evander Kane only having 2. No one really got shots on that, it looked like, for the Oilers side. Like, you have Nathan McKinnon with 11 shots. He's one of the better setters in the NHL. Kurt, I'm trying to get you up to speed with this too a little bit, but he's one of the best in the NHL, and he had 11 shots, 1 goal, and was that a power play? Nazem Kadri with 3 assists. Yeah, that is points. Wow. Yeah, they played really good. Calgary is going to be tough to beat. And then on the other side, you got the Lightning and the Rangers. And that series is 1-0 in favor of the Rangers. Wow. Okay, what happened in Game 1? 6-2. That's another high-scoring game. Oh, I did watch that game. I actually did watch Game 1 of that series. 6-2. Panarin with the 2.9. I love to see it. Savannah's at 2 points. Petrano 2 points. Wow. So they got good production out of their young guys. Trouba on the back end had it. Vasilevsky has looked amazing, but he gave up a lot. Yeah, he gave up quite a bit that game. I think he'll rebound quite nicely for Game 2. And if you're going on the side of Tampa Bay, you gotta win this game. You gotta win this game. If for Tampa Bay. Try to steal one from the Rangers on home ice and stop their momentum after giving your goalie 6 goals. So I think that'll be huge for them. And then Colorado, Edmonton. Edmonton in a must-win situation already, because if you go down 3-0, it's already over, especially to the Avalanche.
Yikes.
So they're in a must-win situation already with their backs against the wall. And let's see if the Tampa Bay Lightning can avoid that and even the series at 1. And I think that will pretty much do it. A little short and sweet podcast this week as we are getting through the start of the winding down the offseason, just trying to get closer towards some more sports that we like. But for now, that'll do it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We're on everything you can imagine. Thank you for the support. And from On Ridgeway Sports Podcast, episode
Deuces.
17. Peace!